Welcome to CONSPHERE, where conversations spark clarity. In today's episode, we're diving deep into mastering the interview art, a must-hear guide for interviewers and interviewees alike. Whether you're hiring talent or trying to become the chosen one, we'll break down the science and psychology behind every successful interview. Let's sharpen your strategy on both sides of the table.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into a world most of us have navigated at some point, often feeling that mix of excitement and, let's be honest, genuine nerves. The job interview.
It's this really fascinating kind of dynamic dance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Assessment, presentation.
Exactly. And a really crucial one. Our guide for this exploration comes from some key excerpts of a text, Mastering the Art of the Interview.
And it seems packed with insights for everyone involved, really.
Yeah, that's our mission here. Extract the most valuable nuggets, not just the facts, but the why and the how that can, make a real difference. We want you to walk away feeling more clued in, more confident, whether you're the one hiring or you're trying to land that role.
It's definitely a delicate balance. And the sources, they seem quite revealing about some of the hidden dynamics.
For sure. So let's maybe start with one side of the stance, the interviewer's perspective. The text makes it clear this role is, well, way more complex than just reading off a list of questions.
Oh, absolutely. It's fundamentally about digging beneath the surface, isn't it? Uncovering genuine talent and, crucially, assessing that cultural fit.
Cultural fit.
Yeah, finding the right person who can actually thrive, not just someone who, ticks the boxes on a resume.
So, based on this material, what are the key things interviewers should really be focusing on then?
Well, a major takeaway seems to be the power of soft skills. I mean, technical expertise is obviously the baseline, right?
So table stakes.
But skills like communication, problem solving, adaptability, teamwork, these are highlighted as just paramount.
And the nonverbal stuff?
Oh, that's fascinating. The text points out that nonverbal cues, things like eye contact, posture, enthusiasm, they account for roughly 55% of communication in an interview.
55%. That's huge.
It is. It means how you carry yourself is sending massive signals, maybe even more than the specific words you pick.
So it's not just fluff. The material also seems to stress behavioral insights.
Right. Asking those behavioral questions, the "tell me about a time" type prompts, they're presented as incredibly valuable.
Why is that?
The thinking is pretty straightforward. Past behavior is the best predictor of future performance. And to make it effective, the text recommends guiding candidates to use the STAR method.
STAR: situation, task, action, result. We hear that a lot.
Exactly. It helps them structure their answers, gives the interviewer concrete examples to actually evaluate, not just hypothetical.
So it's grounded in real experience.
Got it. And cultural alignment, you mentioned that. What does that really mean in practice, according to this text?
Well, it's defined not as hiring carbon copies of who's already there.
Okay, good clarification.
Yeah, it's finding someone whose values, whose work style, whose personality means they can genuinely integrate and, thrive within the existing team and the company environment.
And that matters because
the text highlights it has a really significant tangible impact. We're talking long-term employee satisfaction, retention, it reducing turnover, boosts team cohesion. It's not just about feeling good. That makes total sense. You could have the most skilled person, but if they clash with the culture, they probably won't stick around or be that productive.
Precisely.
What about a candidate's curiosity? Does that come up?
Oh, yeah, that's flagged as a big one. A candidate who's clearly done their homework, researched the company, the role, shows genuine interest, initiative.
And the alternative?
Well, here's a pretty stark point from the material. It says 47% of candidates fail interviews because they simply didn't know enough about the company.
Wow, nearly half. Just from lack of basic research.
Yeah. It's a huge missed opportunity for them and a clear signal for interviewers. Asking insightful questions at the end, not just the formality. It shows engagement, critical thinking.
Right. And one more thing interviewers look for?
A willingness to learn. In today's world, things change so fast, right?
Constantly.
So this text positions that willingness to learn as a really powerful indicator of future success. It shows adaptability, the ability to pick up new skills, openness to feedback. It's about potential just as much as current capability.
Okay, so those are key traits interviewers should look for. Now, how can interviewers themselves level up their game? What does the text suggest for improving the process?
Implementing structured interviews is presented as crucial.
Meaning?
Using consistent questions, consistent evaluation criteria for all candidates. It helps minimize unconscious bias, ensures a fairer, more objective assessment.
Brings a level of rigor to it, yeah.
Exactly. And active listening. Seems obvious, but it's paramount. The goal is gathering information, so the interviewer really should be listening way more than they speak.
Focusing on hearing the answers, probing deeper.
Right. And another critical point highlighted is focusing on the candidate experience.
The experience of the interview itself, how important is that, really?
Apparently, highly important. The text reveals a statistic. 83% of candidates say a negative interview experience can actually make them reject a job offer.
83%. Wow.
Yeah, even from a company they were initially interested in. So simple things being punctual, setting clear expectations, following up promptly, they're not just polite. They directly impact your ability to attract top talent.
So a bad interview isn't just awkward, it can actively cost you great hires. Okay. What about common pitfalls for interviewers? Things to avoid.
The text definitely calls out some common mistakes. Showing up late, obviously.
Big one.
Clearly not having reviewed the candidate's resume beforehand. Asking questions that are just vague or irrelevant. These things don't just lead to poor hiring decisions.
They damage the company's rep.
Exactly. Especially in the talent market, as we just discussed.
All right, really fascinating insights on the interviewer side. Let's flip the coin now. Let's switch gears and look at the other side of that dynamic dance, the interviewee's perspective. The text frames the interview as basically your stage.
It absolutely is. It's your moment to shine, but it requires preparation, confidence, and definitely a strategic approach. You've got to showcase your abilities, your personality, tell your story effectively.
So, armed with knowing what interviewers are looking for, how does an interviewee really make their mark, stand out?
Okay, the absolute foundational step, and it echoes the interviewer side, is doing your homework. Non-negotiable.
Research the company.
Mission, values, recent news, who you're meeting with, if you can find out. Deeply understand the role itself. You have to be ready to articulate why this specific role, and why this particular company.
And the stakes are high.
Incredibly high. The text provides a really eye-opening statistic here. Get this. Only about 2% of candidates who initially apply for a job opening are typically selected for an interview.
Only 2%. Seriously.
Yeah, that tiny percentage just underscores how crucial it is to stand out right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Thorough preparation is step one.
That really puts the pressure on making that interview count. You mentioned the STAR method earlier. The text stresses mastering that for the interviewee, too.
Oh, absolutely. It's presented as your essential tool for tackling those behavioral questions effectively.
Instead of just rambling.
Exactly. Instead of rambling or giving generic answers, STAR helps you provide these concise, compelling little narratives about your past experiences that directly demonstrate the skills the interviewer is actually looking for.
Give structure to your success stories. The text also emphasizes show, don't just tell. What does that mean practically?
It means don't just list your responsibilities. Quantify your achievements whenever possible. The example given is pretty clear. Instead of saying, I improved sales, try something like, I increased sales by 15% in 6 months.
Yeah, okay. Much more concrete.
Yeah, it translates your actions into tangible impact, into results. That's what interviewers really want to see.
That's definitely powerful. What about the questions you ask at the end of the interview?
Right, asking thoughtful, insightful questions. It's your chance to show you're genuinely engaged, that you think critically, and that you've actually listened during the conversation.
And what not to ask.
The text advises avoiding questions where the answers are easily found on the company's website or, right there in the job description. That just signals you haven't done that basic research we talked about.
Makes you look unprepared.
Totally. Ask things that show you're thinking ahead about the role's future, team dynamics, maybe challenges the team is facing. It shows deeper interest.
It kind of flips the script a bit, shows you're evaluating them too.
In a way, yeah.
And projecting confidence. Those nonverbals we talked about earlier must come into play here big time for the candidate.
They absolutely do. Projecting confidence balanced with humility naturally is crucial. Dress professionally, offer a firm handshake, when it's appropriate culturally, and maintain eye contact.
Eye contact seems key.
Very key. The text backs this up with numbers again. 65% of interviewers, it found, did not hire candidates who failed to make eye contact.
65%. That's a deal breaker for many.
Apparently so. And maybe surprisingly, maybe not, a genuine smile matters too. 40% of interviewers didn't consider candidates, partly because they didn't smile.
Wow, so these aren't just like pleasantries.
No, they're signals
Yeah.
about your comfort level, maybe your honesty, your interpersonal skills. Body language speaks volumes.
Those nonverbal stats really do stick with you. Okay, finally, the text mentions the follow-up after the interview.
Yes, and it emphasizes doing it strategically, sending a thank you email within 24 hours. It's not just polite anymore. It's another chance to reinforce your fit.
What should be in it?
The text suggests reiterating your strong interest, maybe briefly mentioning a specific point from the conversation that really resonated with you, and concisely reminding them how your key skills align with what the role needs.
So reinforce the connection.
Exactly. It's a small gesture, but the material indicates it can significantly boost your standing in their eyes.
Okay. So bringing this all together then, what's the core takeaway from this deep dive into mastering the art of the interview?
I think the main message is that in today's competitive landscape, for both companies trying to find top talent and individuals looking for that next great opportunity, the interview process isn't just some hoop to jump through.
Not just a formality or a casual chat.
Definitely not. This material makes it abundantly clear it's a really strategic interaction from both sides.
And understanding these dynamics, what's being assessed consciously or subconsciously, what signals are being sent verbally and non-verbally, it just empowers everyone involved, doesn't it?
It really does. It helps companies, hopefully, make better hiring decisions. And it helps individuals, you, present your best, most relevant self.
Yeah, it frames it as this powerful opportunity to connect, to assess, and ultimately to impress.
Absolutely. And thinking about how heavily this material emphasizes the importance of nonverbal communication, those soft skills, adaptability, all these things determining success in the interview. What does that tell us about how the very definition of skill itself might be changing in the modern working world? It's certainly something worth pondering as you navigate your own professional journey.